Hey, guys and gals. Shmoo here with my bro, Matty Vath.
What's up?
I'd like to officially welcome you to the very first episode of the Double BS podcast, where we discover great brews and talk about fun topics every week. And by the way, if you have some great brews for us to try, you make them, you work for a brewery that has them, you know where to get them. By all means, we'd love to try them. Just reach out to any one of us, and we can get them. You can mail them to us. Just reach out to us on our Facebook page, and that's you just search Double BS Podcast on Facebook. Of course, all of our episodes streaming to you live every Friday at 10 a.m. on Facebook. We've also got a YouTube channel and a Spotify channel. So, and for those of you who use the Spotify, the free version, it will show up on that as well. So we're always going to introduce Matty to a new beer, and until we kind of get to a point where his taste buds and my taste buds line up, I'm going to try my best to be drinking beers from the same brewery that I'm going to introduce him from. So tonight I am drinking a couple tasty brews from a wonderful brewery in Solon, Iowa, and they also have a tap room in Iowa City. Big Girl Brewery. I will be drinking the Boomtown, and they call that their premium beer, and also their Easy Eddie, their IPA. So really, really good beers. I love it. I love Big Grove. Matthew is going to be drinking their Double Blackberry Sour. Now, this bad boy, I tell you what, I found this. I'm going to even pour it for you. Such a nice guy. I actually lucked into this at Hy-Vee. Hy-Vee is probably my big, like if I'm not going to a brewery, I typically go to Hy-Vee, and that's where I pick up stuff. This was one of those, just the can looked fun and delicious. So I picked it up, and it's actually really good. And Matty's palate right now is that of more like kind of your sours, your fruity beers, your easy to drink.
It's not as
beers.
Expanded as.
Yeah. So yeah, Matty's gonna try this wonderful beer. We're gonna get his initial reaction to this and see what he thinks.
What am I drinking now? Double Blackberry Sour.
But it's not very sour. The sour, I'm not big into the sours. Typically, because a lot of times they are very tart.
I just want to read it. It gets a hefty dose of blackberries. The tartness of the beer's sour base complements the sweet taste of blackberries and boysenberries. Beautiful violet beer bursts with berry flavor. So that is actually super, super tasty.
It's real. It's almost like juice.
It is. It's
very juicy.
That's very, very good. I like that. I'm a fan.
I'm glad you're a fan. That's awesome
delicious.
to hear. So each episode we're going to kind of have a theme going on. Tonight, we're going to kind of focus on some of our early memories of drinking and getting involved in this wonderful world now. But at the same time, we're going to kind of tie it to the beers we're drinking. So first drinking.
There's some of those stories of mine that I don't want to tell.
I got some stuff that's embarrassing.
Yeah.
I
really can't go back to maybe some of the first times I've ever actually had beer.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure at some point in time when I was a younger child that I got to taste a beer here and there from my mother or my father or my uncles or my aunts, that way. I remember the first time I had a lot of beer when I was, probably not supposed to. That's an embarrassing story. It's a funny story. I know most people in my family would laugh at me because they remember that story.
I have two very distinct stories that also involve family that we'll get to as well. So this is very different, by the way.
A little bit.
Like, it's kind of weird because I apologize, guys. You're gonna hear a lot of creaking. I promise that me and Matt aren't doing anything funky. It's just we're down in my basement at the Holmes Corner Tap, and my chair's a little squeaky. So
thanks for throwing that disclaimer in.
So I want to hear this story because I usually hear a lot of stories about you that are embarrassing. Well, I've been through some stuff with you that I look at you like, man, we're idiots. But
and my brother would know exactly what story I'm talking about before I go into it.
Well, let's go into it.
I want to say I was 16 years old. It was in the month of August, so I know I can drive. We're 16 years old, and my brother and I, who are very close and best friends, at his wedding I was the best man. So, of course, at 16 years old, I'm gonna party and have some fun at this wedding. I may have partied and had a little too much fun at this wedding. I don't remember a lot about it, and there's probably comments that people are going to say that don't need to be brought in. So I do remember two distinct things: one of the night of that night, and one of the day after at their gift opening. The night before, I do remember. Apparently, I was dancing on the table.
I mean, that's not overly surprising.
Shut up. By the way, the beer that we were drinking that night was, at 16 years old, I was drinking Old Style Light Draft
Ooh.
beer. Yeah, and that's why
Tasty.
it's just still to this day, like draft beer and I get along great, but for a very short amount of time because it hits you like a ton of bricks.
I do like me some Old Style Light.
I'm not a fan just because it takes me back to one of those days.
Yeah.
I do remember the next day, man, that was not kind to me. So at my brother's in-laws' house, they had the gift opening outside. They had a 2-story house. I believe they found me upstairs at some point in the afternoon with my brother's in-laws' basset hound.
Were you really asleep though? Were you asleep or were you passed out?
Probably a combination of both.
Okay.
I'm like, I think for a while they couldn't find me, and garnered upstairs, and there I was, just on the floor with the basset hound just out cold.
Nice.
Like it was, I was 16. It was Old Style Light. It was a lot of Old Style Light draft beer. Just, I don't want to say a night I want to forget because people have a grand time giving me memories of it.
Oh, sure.
And making fun of me.
Well, it's fun. It's fun that one of the story you remember is a wedding because of the couple stories I always love to tell about my childhood. My first one is the first time I was drunk, and
that was the first time I was drunk.
So you were 16 then?
Yeah.
I was 4.
That's amazing that you remember that.
Well, here's the deal. There's photographic evidence of it. I mean, it happened. This was a real thing. So my grandma Helen, my dad's mom, got remarried. My grandpa George, my dad's father, passed away when I always screw up the time frame. I think it was like 11 or 7 or something, but very young age. Passed away. He was an electrician. Passed away in long work, and they moved here. But she got remarried to my step-grandfather, which I never called step-grandfather, just it was Grandpa Harold.
Down here is a very reputable.
Yeah, but I mean, we were at the reception. I don't remember where the reception was at. Again, it was 4.
Yeah.
But
how you remember any of this is beyond me.
There's a really good picture. So if I can get my hands on the picture, I think my sister has the picture, and we'll post it. Yeah. But there's a picture of me, 4 years old. I want to say I got like a little bow tie on, and I'm at whether it's a church, maybe it's like it's like the tables, the folding tables with all the booze on it. That was the bar, if you will. But what had happened is at the reception. There was punch. So that was back in the day. I mean, you don't really see punch a whole lot anymore. No. But it was like the 7-Up and the ice chunk and all that.
Right.
Well, the punch was spiked.
Oh. No.
What had failed to happen is information was not given out that the punch was spiked. So
what had happened was.
Yeah. So what had happened is me and the little cousins at the time are running, and we're all running around all rosy cheeked and smiling and laughing.
Yeah, I'm sure you're rosy cheeked.
Yeah, and I mean, everybody's like, what's going on with the kids? And someone pulls over, pulls my mom and says, they're not drinking the punch, are they? Of course, mom said, of course. It's got
what else are they supposed to drink?
Yeah, it's got alcohol. This isn't in the day like now where you go to, these things and there's like, well, we got 8 flavors of beer and 14 kegs and juice boxes and pop and this, that, whatever for everybody. It was like this, you had punch. And that was traditionally the non-alcoholic drink. I mean, it wasn't bottled water back then. That wasn't really a thing.
So whatever guest you had showed up.
So
it's not non-alcoholic anymore.
Yeah. So there's a picture, and like I said, I think my sister has it. I'll have to check. I know somebody has it. I may have it. I don't know.
I want to see this picture.
And it's me like looking up because I'm 4, so I'm short back then. So it's a grown adult. Like this downward shot, me just standing behind this makeshift bar, just hamming up to the camera, drunker as skunk.
Did you say hamming up to the camera or hammered up to the camera?
A little bit of both.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
But I mean, but that's weird because at 4, like, and I don't want to say like I remember it, like it happening. Like I have vague, fuzzy memories of the event. Like I remember being there and running around with my cousins.
Right.
Like very vaguely. Because at 4, your memory's not really.
I don't have any recollection. Any time that I was 4.
But like the story has been told so many times to me, and the picture.
That's probably why, and especially with the picture, it helps.
Oh yeah, the picture. Every time I see the picture, I can remember running around with my cousins. I mean, I remember running around there, and we had all of our punches were like sitting in a little spot, and we'd run around and we'd go off do our thing.
And apparently you all made it back for a lot of punch.
I mean, and back then, ultimately it was probably like 2 glasses. I don't want to think like our parents would feed us like copious amounts. At 4 years old, I mean, you weigh 30 pounds. We probably had 1 glass and loaded. I mean, at that point, 1 glass I need, especially, at that age.
Well, now the world enough when we have kids. How long does it take them to drink 1 drink?
Oh, yeah.
A glass of something.
You want to put Libby in that discussion? I'm telling you right now, that girl, gone. I don't care what it is. She was
my daughter,
she's like, I'm thirsty. Gone.
And Katie's gotten so much better, but literally that girl could go through a half gallon of chocolate milk in a few hours. So, if anything was...
Oh, if I didn't monitor Libby, she'd do something.
She just like, see ya. It's
yeah.
Like, this costs a lot of money, right?
Yeah.
Like not a gallon of milk or a half gallon of milk, but it's like I buy one twice a day.
And they do water. They love doing water. Like they'll go to the fridge and do the water out of the fridge and usually spill water all over the place. They do when I make them go to bed. But it's funny. Well, yeah. So I've almost got a recurring theme in my early years, and I know most people weren't thinking we were going to go as early as 4.
I certainly wasn't.
But my second favorite story also involves, again, I'm assuming at 4 I had 1 glass of the punch, and my other story is 1 glass of wine. So fast forward, several years, I was probably 10 or 11 at the time, and we were at my Uncle Bill in Aunt Arlene's, and my Uncle Terry was there. Uncle Terry was the coolest. He was that uncle that was like super fun and had zero issue getting you into trouble and pushing you to do things you may or may not want to do, but you're going to have fun with it. Terry was just the funnest guy. And he was the guy that, he always had something pink, whether it was a handkerchief, t-shirt. He was always saying, real men wear pink. And like even after at his, when he got cancer several years ago, his t-shirt is real men wear pink. And that was the shirt color, was pink. So, but I can't remember if it was a Thanksgiving or a Christmas, but we're there at my Aunt Arlene's, and we're there, my cousin Brian and Michelle, they're down visiting and stuff, and we would see each other, a handful of times a year.
Right. And
we were close. When we would come down, or when we would go up there, they would come down here for holidays and stuff, it was like, hey, cousin Brian's in town, and me and Brian would go off and have adventures, and Michelle and Becky would go have adventures, or my cousin Carmen was down, we'd have adventures. But we're hanging out, and Uncle Terry thought it would be absolutely hilarious to give us a glass of Kool-Aid, if you will. I'm doing air quotes for the listeners. Kool-Aid.
You don't have a good history with spiked stuff.
It wasn't Kool-Aid. It was red wine. So me and my cousin, we go into Aunt Arlene's bedroom. Now, we're there, and we're sitting on the bed, and we've got an electric piano there, and we were both in music back then, and we're playing around, and we're just having fun and being kids, and doing this and sipping on this Kool-Aid.
The preface is, how old are you at this moment?
Like 9 or 10, 11, maybe something like that.
I don't know if I missed that. I just want to.
Okay. Yeah, we're sitting there, and all of a sudden, like we're getting run around and doing this. All of a sudden, it was like, oh,
that wine hit.
Yeah.
Pete, meet brick wall.
No, Pete, stomach contents, which is red wine. Meet Aunt Arlene's brand new bedroom carpet, which is white.
Oh my!
That happened, and my mother immediately is on me like, Peter, George, and my Uncle Terry's in the back. I'm like, it was Kool-Aid. It was Kool-Aid, And my cousin Brian just like, oh my God, it's awesome. And my Uncle Terry's in the back just losing it, and my mom is just. She's furious, and I just remember, and I threw up and I felt fine. I was like, yep, good to go. It was perfectly fine. And I just remember Aunt Arlene dragging my Uncle Terry, her son, my Uncle Terry, into the room saying, Terry, explain this.
Oh, God.
And then told my mother what had happened. And then I was off the hook.
Well, yeah.
And Uncle Terry was drunk. But I love telling that story. It was awesome. It was just fun. That was Uncle Terry, though. It was great.
I love hearing that story.
That was good.
I can't wait to see your mom and dad again, because we're going to have reminiscing stories now, too.
Oh, yeah. So, like at Uncle Terry's funeral several years ago, and then again Aunt Arlene's funeral the year or so after, that story came up.
Right.
It always does. And my mom that story will come up at family gatherings and stuff all the time.
Well, it's probably funny to her now.
Well, yeah.
It wasn't funny at
all. Well, no. She was furious.
Yeah.
I'm like, Mom, it wasn't my fault. Yeah. He said it was Kool-Aid. I was drugged.
Jesus. I want to ask you of your 21st birthday party or your 21st drinking experience.
Not as exciting as you would think.
Really?
Nope. So when I turned 21, I was working for church camp when I was doing my church camp and youth director stuff. And it was the last week of the summer, or of the program, year for us. And they had a program up there that was called the Riverboat. So it was a high school program. And you would go down like these fairly decent houseboats. I mean, they'd sleep, 8, 10 kids plus counselors and stuff. So you'd go out for the week and you'd stay at a couple different beaches.
Right.
That was the thing. It was a lot of fun. It was awesome. The whole summer I had done the 8th grade program. It was called the Settlers. But we stayed in these kind of a little bit more, I don't want to say primitive cabins, because they were like, it was built, had screens, but there was no power or anything like that. The only power was there was one light on the outside, and that was it. So we didn't have anything else. Then we were kind of off the path. So to do the riverboat was kind of fun, to do something a little different.
Right.
But when I turned 21, I remember I was asleep, and all of the campers and the other counselors on the boat got up before me, and they woke me up, and they dragged me outside to the beach. And at the time, one of the cooks, his name is Sammy. I still talk to him to this day. He was Romanian. Well, he is Romanian. Not anything different now. Yeah. He's from Romania, and he actually lives on the East Coast now. But him and the maintenance guy, Clint, and one other gal, Jenna, they came out on a flatboat to where we were at. Mm-hmm. They pulled me out, and they literally sang "Happy Birthday" and did the whole lift you up and throw you up in the air a couple times.
Oh damn!
That's not as fun as it looks. It's like, oh crap, don't drop me.
That doesn't sound fun.
But they did that, and then they gave me a 6-pack of root beer.
Of root beer?
Root beer. Well, church camp.
Okay, I get it.
They can't. The kids.
I got it.
They can't go buy beer.
I'm not.
So yeah, my 21st birthday, I had 6-pack root beer. I came home later that week. We were done for the summer, and me and Dad went out. Me and Dad went to, well, it was Kokomo's. Sabres then.
Sabres.
Down there for they were Sabres, because the guy that owned it worked with Dad at 3M. So,
nice.
But there again, I was just a couple.
So it's not as bad.
Man, just a couple drinks. So yeah, my 21st was not my 30th birthday. I made up for it.
Well, I'll tell you the story of my 21st birthday.
I was going to say, I was going to ask, but I feel like you were ready to go. That's a couple years after mine.
It was fun. It was up until the point where it was not fun.
Now, were you here in town for it?
I was not. I went to, at the time, when I turned 21, I was going to the University of Northern Iowa.
That's right. Because you would have been up there, because what year did you graduate?
2001. So,
good town.
Where I literally lived at, and you've been there. There's an apartment building off to the left side.
Yep, I know what you're talking
about. That's where I live.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, best friend of mine had a small house that was literally probably the size of this bar. And Casey and I loved it. We studied up there many nights.
I mean, did you study?
We drank a lot of Diet Pepsi. I mean, we went through cases and cases of Diet Pepsi.
Was there something in the Diet Pepsi?
No.
Okay.
We just drank. Casey, to his credit, has never had a drop of alcohol in his life.
Are you serious?
Yeah, never. I love the taste of beer, so I could never ever say it.
Mm-hmm.
But on Casey, an interesting part of that story is I turned 21 on May 1st. Casey turned 21 literally April 2nd, the month before me. So on his 21st birthday, him and his now wife Holly and we all went out to Walmart, and he bought the 6-pack of beer, and I drank it. So it's like, I think Holly I don't know if Holly had one, but yeah, we drank it.
Oh, that reminds me of a fun story too.
He always said, like, on his 21st birthday, he bought me a 6-pack of beer. So much love to you, Casey.
That's pretty funny. And yeah, you guys are close, because I never really hung out with Casey. I mean, I knew who he was because it was Dad.
I've known him since fifth grade, and we've been in middle school, and you get all the way up into high school, and we've been. And
I feel like you and me have a lot of friends.
Gone in even farther. You know, his parents, his sister, my family. He's one of the only people in my life that could literally walk into my parents' house, whether I'm there or not, and just be like, "Hey, Mom, hey, Pop."
I feel like
I could do that to his parents. We've always had that type of relationship.
Yeah, I feel like we have that a lot in the Midwest. I feel like you don't get that a lot elsewhere. I mean, I think a lot of stories, as we tell tonight, and a lot of the stuff that we're going to tell in upcoming episodes, I think a lot of it is the fact that we're in the Midwest, and it's not a thing. You know, like I remember. I mean, growing up, it was a kid.
I mean, I can't
like
really say about the East Coast or the West Coast. I know that.
I never lived there, but
No, I understand that, but
I feel like I have a lot of friends
I have
growing
a
up.
ton that you are one of them. Like if I come over to your house, I just walk in the door.
Yeah.
You come over to my house, you just walk in the door.
Yeah.
I don't ask questions. Just like, hey, Pete's here.
Yeah. I walk in and I ask, do you have beer?
No, you just open the fridge.
This is true. This is very true.
It's the same thing. I know where the beer is.
Very, very true. So, that it was. So anyway, sorry, I digress off that one.
Mm-hmm.
So you're talking about case and all that, and buying you the 6-pack. I got to tell the story. I don't know that I've ever told you this story, but you'll get a kick out of it. So, just to maintain some sense of, I don't know that one of the parties involved would like for me to reveal their name, so I won't. This friend of mine, and I'm going to stay anonymous, just because those of you that know us will know who I'm talking about, but just, for whatever, was really good friends with a kid that really it was a very unlikely friendship. He played football, he played baseball and track. I was a swimmer, I was a tennis player. So for us to be friends was kind of, it was different, but it's a friendship that I value to this day, and it's awesome. And I'm glad that it's maintained.
Oh, I know where you're going
yeah,
now.
okay. You know what I'm talking about now? Okay.
Yes, sir.
So my buddy, he played football, played Division I football for college here in Iowa. But I went out, and this would have been sophomore year. I want to say sophomore year. Well, it could have been junior because I made it sophomore semester, first semester sophomore year in college. That was it. I dropped out. My BAC was higher than my GPA.
Why do you think I only spent a semester at Northern Iowa?
I did a year and a half, but I mean, I was.
Why do you think I only spent a semester at the University of Iowa? You can't be 20 years old and live downtown in Iowa City. Dude.
So I go out
doesn't work well.
For a football game, and it was a great game. It was fun, blast. And then after the game, we went out with his family, who to this day I still consider family. But we go out to dinner, really nice dinner. And then after dinner, we end up going over to like Hy-Vee, and we're there, and the dad looks at something. Well, what kind of beer you drink? He said, well, Busch Light. So, well, I'll grab a case. I'm like, oh, sweet. You got a case of Busch Light. It's awesome. Because, I mean, this is sophomore semester, so I was what, 20? Yeah, it's 20. Well, then he turns to me and goes, Pete, what are you drinking? I'll drink some of his Busch Light. That's fine. We'll get yourself a case. I'm like, oh, I got excited. I was like, what? This is amazing. And what's crazy about this story is, like, this is a guy that could drink some beers. All right, he lived in a football house.
The son.
Your
friend, right?
Yes. That night. Now, granted, I guess technically I cheated because I didn't play in a Division I football game that day. So I was
trying to go beer for beer.
I outdrank him.
What?
Oh yeah. I murdered that case. He was asleep. I was drinking out of the keg and ended up in some dorm room on campus. Now, keep in mind, dude man was a D lineman in Division I football. He was a little worn out. I mean, clearly I can't claim a total credit for that, but I always love that story. That's a fun one. And it's fun for, like I still see these people to this day.
And I do love the fact that he was that way because you never really saw him, and I never really saw him in that. See,
I did a little bit in high school just with being friends.
Right.
I mean, there were some clear advantages to being friends with this kid.
To get back to the story of my 21st birthday party, so I live on the hill.
You talked about Casey's birthday where he bought you beer.
Yeah, well,
what did you do for
I'm
your birthday?
Literally, 29, 30 days later? We live on the hill. We live a block and a half from each other. I spent a semester at the University of Iowa before I realized that at 20 years old I am not allowed to be in the downtown Iowa City area. Because at 3 in the morning when you walk by my house with a 30-pack of beer and say we're going to a party and I got class at 8 in the morning, I'm like, what the hell are you doing? We're going to a party, you want to come? Well, okay. Probably not good for my education.
Iowa City was not good for my education.
So I transferred.
I didn't live in Iowa City.
I transferred to the University of Iowa. Or the University of Northern Iowa.
I say you transferred from the University.
Shut up.
Guys, the sour's hitting him. The sour's hitting him.
I live, 2 blocks from campus. We live on the hill. All the bars are on the hill. Casey lives a half a block from me. So my 21st birthday party, I have a bunch of my friends from Iowa City come down.
Because you're going to rock out midnight.
Yeah. Well, but we began, because apparently...
Well, you pregame.
They brought... Yeah, well, we weren't smart about this.
We're not smart about it now.
We pre-gamed with shots of tequila.
That's not good.
About 3 hours before we hit the bar. We get to the bar at midnight. Of course, they have to let me in now because I am 21. Can't go to the bars up there if you're not 21. At least you couldn't 17 years ago. Yeah. So they let me in at midnight. We go through the last 2 hours of bar time from 12 to 2, drinking beer and having fun. I am, at this point, I feel all right. Never really had this much alcohol in my system. Should be fun. We make it to the end of the night. They tell the bartender who's there that night, very lovely lady, it is my 21st birthday party and bar is closing, so she makes me a shot. It consisted of at least, I want to say 4, but at least 3 different kinds of liquor. Plus on top of it, in a little shot glass to fill it up, Tabasco sauce. Now, of course, in my inebriated state, I'm like, bring it. Let's go. Let's do this. She sets an empty pitcher in front of my face. I took that shot, slammed it on the bar, and looked at her like...
You have a pitcher story?
No, I didn't use the pitcher. She set it there because she's like, you can take this. It's going to happen.
I have a pitcher story as well.
I slammed that shot glass on the bar, and I looked at it like, woman, please. So, bar's closing because we have to leave. If you walk down the hill, of course, there's Quick Star. And on your way back to the dorm, there's a street to the dorm. There was an outside, just like a little hut, as far as I remember, pizza place. Like they're making pizza.
Yeah.
And they're making pizza for all the people that are leaving the bar. So I'm like, I am so hungry at the moment because I've had so much alcohol.
Because
I haven't eaten in about 6 hours. I buy a piece of pizza and I scarf that down while we're standing there just talking to everybody else that's outside. And we're like, all right, where everybody's going to go back to. I do have friends that live at the dorm, so we're going to walk back that way. I make it 20 feet and everything just came up. I'm like, this ain't going to be good. So we literally, after, I don't know, probably hurling for 5 minutes, walk back to the dorms. Go up into I graduated with Brian Bradauer.
Brian, okay.
We made it up to their dorm room. Of course, this is at 2 o'clock. I wake up at about 4:30 in the morning on the floor of their dorm room, covered in not only my white button-down shirt, which is all I had, but the net to what apparently carried like soccer balls and volleyballs, whatever, like one of those. That's what I was covered up with as a blanket. And the window's open. It's freaking May 1st.
And you probably had, and it was probably a button down with nothing underneath it.
I had a white T-shirt on.
You were always that. You always had that. I did that too. I'm gonna sit here like you're the one.
But the window's open, so I'm like this, and I literally live like 6 blocks from here. So in the middle of this dorm room, which is like 4th or 5th floor, I don't remember what floor. I make it down the elevator. I can barely see. Like I don't know where I'm going, but I know exactly. Like I know my house is over there. My apartment's over there. I make it back to my apartment. It's got to be 5-something in the morning, 6-something in the morning. Okay. I make it into my bed. We'll say 6 o'clock in the morning.
Okay.
And I'm gone. So I wake up to my phone ringing, and it's Casey. He's like, "Hey, what are you doing?" I'm like, "What do you want?" Like I can barely feel.
I'm suffering.
I can barely feel.
I'm suffering. That's what I'm doing.
I can barely feel the drum line playing in my head. What's going on? He's like, are you coming up here? Well, I'm literally, I got people over. We're having a cookout for your birthday. And I'm like,
oh, you started, okay.
I'm like, why are you calling me? What time?
I didn't hear the end of this.
Why are you calling me? What time is it? He goes, it's 7 o'clock. I'm like this. I've been asleep for an hour. He goes, no, Matthew, it is 7 p.m. You've been asleep for 13 hours. I'm like this.
Dude.
What? And I look at the clock and I'm like, oh, well, crap. So I walk up to Casey's house. Of course, Casey wouldn't bought me a 6-pack of beer for my birthday.
Yeah.
And Casey's like, hey, sit down. I can't, my head feels like the size of Manhattan right now. And Casey's like,
here, have a beer. And your stomach goes.
Casey goes, I got burgers on the grill. Do you want a beer? And I go, if you even mention the word beer, I'll throw you on the grill. It's like, leave me alone. Yeah, that lasted about 3 days.
Well, of course.
But I'm like,
I mean, how many times in your life you said, I'm never drinking again?
I'm not going to mention, we're not going to mention how many times I said that.
I mean, I've said that. How many times did you pour out alcohol bottles? I'm done. I'm not drinking anymore. No more. And pour out what you had. I've done, yeah.
Oh, twice.
I have 3 times.
That's That's an exact lie. But
3 times for me though. I can tell you 3. Twice was at Coe College, and once was when I lived in Gilbert, Iowa.
I've said many times before I go to bed, like I'm not drinking.
I've never said it before I go to bed. It's always the
I
next day.
I can't say it's like I'm never drinking again. I'm like with this. I'm like I'm not.
I mean, there was the one
there's
time.
no more beer. I come home. I'm gonna do this, and it's like when I get home, it's like, man, a beer just sounds really, really good. Because it always does.
I mean, this was my one uncle's wedding, and they had keg beer, and I had 30 of those.
See, keg beer.
But I had 30 of these. You can't see it, but this is a big mug.
You had 30?
30. Something like that. I don't know. Somebody there counted. Like, I didn't even know. Somebody there was like, you've had like 30. First time I ever puked in my hair.
See, this is why I love draft beer. It tastes amazing.
Yeah.
But most people that know me, my ex-wife will actually tell you, like, you should never, ever serve him draft beer.
And you know what,
because it will just go, and I love it. It tastes so delicious, but then all of a sudden it's like this. You're out. See ya.
I'm the same way because, like, draft beer, like you know, go to any bar and, like, you know, you're doing, like, draft Coors Light, stuff like that, a wedding, keg beer, stuff like that.
Right.
More so keg beer for me, but draft, like, domestic beer. Now, if I go to a brewery, then, yeah, I want out the tap.
I don't go to me.
But there again, like,
Right.
I'm not drinking like I am.
Right.
So this was, like, just recently, we did a Sunday Fun Day. You know, we went down to probably one of my favorite places to go is Old Chicago. I love Old Chicago. So we go down, and this is with Brent and Beth. Actually, my wife was with us. It was great. Had a really good time. And then we made it back to town to the restaurant, and I told Kelly, well, hey, why don't you head home? Because her mom was watching the kids. Like, I'm going to hang here for just a minute, and then we'll be there. Well, I mean, Beth was, like, to the nine. Like, she was in this little, like, tight black dress thing. I'm like, what? We're going Sunday Fun Day. Like, what? I'm just wearing, like, whatever. But so she puts, like, the plastic
Women
apron on.
dress different than men.
And she goes, and she's going to wash dishes. I'm like, sweatshirt off, let's go. I'm going to help out. I don't care. And there was a kegerator from a wedding or something. They have a keg or a dispenser thing. Well, come to find out, and it makes a lot more sense now. At the time, we thought it was Coors Light. Well, my buddy's just feeding me. I mean, I'm doing these dishes, and he just keeps bringing me fresh pints of beer. I'm like, whatever. I like beer, and I'll drink it. Well, come to find out it was Busch Light.
Yeah.
That doesn't do good things for me.
It will fill you up more than Coors Light will.
No, it didn't fill me up because
it will.
So we ended up getting home.
It'll fill you up more than Coors Light will.
Yeah, so we ended up getting home. We came down here. We're hanging out. And I don't remember going to bed. Like, I don't remember any of that. Like, nothing. And that's the thing. I've never been that guy where, like, even, like, in my college days where I was just drinking like an idiot, I never blacked out. I could remember everything. Now, I maybe couldn't necessarily control what A, I was doing, or B, what was coming out of my mouth, but I was fully aware of what was going on. Yeah, as I've got later in life, I get some blank spots, and it's really trippy. Like, I don't like it.
No, I don't do that.
So,
I'm
it's
not
not fun. So, but this one, so this was a Sunday. Well, of course, I have Mondays off.
Right.
So I woke up on Monday morning, and Kathy's, gets the girls up and ready for school, and then I take them to school after she goes to work. I'm like, man, I got a headache. Like, I'm an idiot.
I'm sure you
Like,
did.
I have a headache. But that was it. Like, I felt okay. I just had a headache. I just want to lay down. Well, wife comes home for lunch, and we're chatting, and she's like, do you remember the conversation we had last night? I'm like, no. She goes, we had a 45-minute conversation. You don't remember any of it?
Oh.
No. So, and I wouldn't say we were fighting. We got into it a little bit, but she starts getting mad at me, and so I figure this out. She's getting mad at me because she is saying, because she remembers this conversation, she's saying the same things to me that she said to me the night before, but I'm not responding in the kind and emotional and understanding way it was the night before. And I'm like, wait a minute, are you holding it against me because I'm not remembering the conversation we had or responding the same way? Like, you can't do that.
No.
And then it comes, she knew I was that gnarled up. I'm like, no. She was baiting.
Yeah, she was setting you up.
But it was still, and it ended up being a really good conversation. But yeah,
It leads to a great place.
I was hydrating on keg Busch Light.
Call it that.
No, that's what I'm saying. Like we were doing the dishes, and I mean, you're doing this and whatever. So, but instead of waters, I was just
Yes, but I've never heard somebody say they were hydrating on
keg Bush lattes. That's a true story.
I love that story.
And I tell you what though, that's a fun story. I love that story because like that for me it was one of those like okay you're gonna get into times in your life, especially this year 2020, where
screw this year.
I think really 2020 has been a year of indulgences. Like people have used it, and I got to a point where I was like I need to back off a little bit.
It's been a year of many things.
Yeah.
Indulgence, revelations, experience.
Justin did come up to town this year, though. That was pretty fun. I'm looking forward to him coming up again, being on this podcast.
Yes.
That'll be fun. So I think though on that note, and here's the thing, guys,
which we don't mind.
This is what you're gonna get. This is a lot. It's gonna be a lot of personal experience.
We've literally so many stories about anything and everything.
Yeah.
We could possibly talk about.
And we're gonna tell them.
We are not only grown men.
I'm not grown. Don't even put me in that category. I'm a
high school to.
I'm a tall older child.
Marriage. We are fathers. We have. Just experiences up to Yang, and they are our experiences. We will gladly talk about our opinions on everything.
I think they're very relatable, though.
Yeah, of course.
I think they're very relatable.
One of the only things we like to say is, remember, these are our opinions. We are more than welcome and more than open to anybody else's. And
I think to add to that, these are our stories.
Yes.
Like we're not going to sit here and tell you stories that just didn't happen. This happened. This is our platform. This is what we do. We're going to pick topics that we can relate to. We're going to pick topics that we have experience with, and we can tell some stories. Now, as we grow and learn this wonderful world of podcasting, we may dive into some stuff we maybe don't know, and we're going to have some fun with it. But now...
That's where we bring the guests on, and we learn different opinions.
Yeah.
But with our own stories, we're going to dive into a lot of topics that we feel knowledgeable about. We have our own opinions on it, and we want to express those opinions.
Yeah.
But it's not like my opinion is right, your opinion is wrong. Like I love to hear Pete's opinion on things, and I'm like, well, I don't feel that way, but I'm glad you feel that way. So it gives me a different perspective on things.
Yeah, and it's fun, especially for us because we've been friends for so long.
Let's not talk about how many years ago.
We're not going to. No, we're not doing that. Not doing that.
Tried to give a year on it. I'm like,
I could.
Look, don't make us older than we are.
We could.
Okay?
Yeah, we're old
right
enough.
now. People can't see us.
That's what I know, right? Audio. We're beautiful. We're the most beautiful people ever. But and that's the cool thing for us is that we aren't afraid to speak truth in front of each other. We're not holding back. This is who we are. So
I believe that's how friends should be.
Like, I think that's what makes us.
I'm never going to be afraid to call me an idiot if I'm being an idiot. I'm never going to say like, you're being an idiot or. Hey Pete, I
am an idiot.
I believe differently than you do, so this is my opinion. Like, and Pete's never gonna say, "Well, you're dumb for thinking that." I'm never gonna say Pete's dumb for thinking something else.
Yeah, we've had so much fun though.
We do.
Like, we could tell.
We literally can sit there and talk. Yeah. About anything. So anywhere, anytime.
Yeah, literally, this is two guys. We're sitting in the basement of my house, on either side of my bar, and just having a conversation. And the fun part is if you were to take the podcast and the computer out of it, it's the same conversation. It really is. It would be less censored because we have to behave on this, but
which we have no problem doing.
Yeah. The one thing we didn't talk about, we talked about a lot of stuff tonight. Next week we're going to talk about how we make different schedules work with both professional lives, hobbies, families, all of that stuff. Because you've got, for our podcast, we've got 3 people involved now. We've got Matty Vath over here, who works swing 12s. You've got myself.
It's not fun.
I work a pretty steady, quote unquote, 9 to 5, aka 10 to 6, at the Harley shop.
A set schedule for what you work every week.
And then we've got our wonderful manager, who we cannot say enough nice things about. So yeah, okay. So next week. So the episode you're listening to now, you're hearing Friday morning. Next week we're going to talk about how we make the different schedules work. So on that note,
I will say that the double blackberry.
I was going to add. What is your final
double blackberry tower? I will. What are we rating this on a scale of?
So 0 to 5. And
I will give.
Let me ask you this though: where would Coors Light land on that?
On a 0 to 5?
0 to 5.
45.
Okay, we got a baseline. Where does Big Grove's?
Like, I do love the blackberries. It was delicious. I was a very big fan. I want to say on a 0 to 5 scale, I'll give you 4.5. Like that. I mean, it was literally really tasty.
Good.
It was very good. Went down very smooth. I drank that pretty quick. Not because I drank beer quick, but I mean it was something I've never had before. I really did like the taste of it. So I give it a 4.5 out of 5.
Awesome.
Pretty happy with that.
Good.
I'm interested to what you bring to the table next. However, since we are wrapping this show up, I would ask you, as right now my bartender, to please pass me a Coors Light.
I got you. So, guys, before we crack these and toast out to end our show, again, thank you very much for coming on this journey of us two telling some stories and having some fun. Don't forget to check us out Fridays, 10 a.m. We're on the Facebook, Double BS Podcast. We're on YouTube.
And that is where you need to hit that like button and that subscribe button. Leave comments below.
On all of them. Even we're on Spotify too. Comment, like all of it. Subscribe to all of it. Like our Facebook page. Follow our Facebook page.
You've heard us.
Like our YouTube page. Subscribe to it. Hit the notification button. This is something we want to make a run at. And we want to make a run at it kind of in a different arena. I mean, we don't have any financial backing for this. This is just two guys doing this in the basement. So we'd love to have fun.
You've also heard us talk about what are we talk about next week? That's where we would love the comments of hey, talk about this. So we give us some time to at least have some time to research into a conversation. If you want to be a guest on this podcast, if you want to talk about something specifically and be here to discuss it with us, we would love to have you.
If you have beer you want us to try,
we would love to
hand deliver it. We're fine.
We've had a couple requests from ladies who would like to come on here from a woman's perspective, talk about this. We're open to do that. Yeah. Please let us know whenever you would be available and would like to come on and do this. Let's just have some fun.
Yeah.
Talk weekly about whatever. I don't think we have a topic that we're not willing to discuss. So,
and with that, guys, on behalf of the Shmoo, my bro Matty Vath, we're out. We'll catch you next week.
We appreciate you listening.
Double BS Podcast.
Cheers, brother.
Cheers.